Hey guys, it's me again, Orcslayer. What is where we last left off? Let's see. Checking. Bell and his forces, along with Gwyn on the very final one, had eradicated the last known dragon nest in the lands where they reside. Now, for this, I will be doing another time skip. But before I do that, I'll have a discussion between Bel and his father, and the other other three gods that reside there as well. Each of them speaking to one another. Guinevere congratulates Bel and Gwyn on their success in rooting out the final thing. So does Gwendolyn. Gwyn then states that their fight isn't over, and that they must push the advantage and go to the other land. Bell saying that it is an idiotic idea and that he asked for his forgiveness, but like I said, idiotic idea. Between them and that land is a large ocean that has been known to crawl with sea dragons that are as large, if not larger, than the ones that we've had on land. It is gonna be almost impossible to get there unscathed. Even if we hunted them ahead of a time, you sent me out ahead of a time, or even just me and my troops. He says he could guarantee that we'd lose more than half the troops just trying to arrive there. Not even speaking of how many people they would need to fight to support a fight there. It is implausible to even think of something as this. Gwyn's then stating that as his father he would listen to him and obey. No, as Gwyn's son he should listen to him and obey, in a very stern voice. Bell also retorting that, then you should listen to me, the one who's been fighting longer than you, and who knows dragons far better than even your brilliance, father. My troops don't know how to use boats or anything, and if you take us off our natural land, or the natural place where we've been fighting, we won't be any good. From what I know, that the only people who do have some experience dealing with water dragons and such were all wiped out years ago when an entire horde of them attacked most of their ships. Then their entire village was destroyed in a calculated move by the dragons. And even now, the dragons are probably preparing another attack. If like I know, they are intelligent. Even more so than some humans. So, think carefully, father, on what we should do. Gwyn glaring at him. We shall do it, and that is final. Gwyn pretty much... Gwyn and Faram... Well, Gwyn and Bell having a stare down like they're about to kill each other. One of your coolest attentions, as well as Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn trying to say that Bell should listen to their father. But Guinevere saying that, well, maybe Bell should be listened to for his much greater insight on these matters. A rift forming between these two. Gwendolyn tries to stay on neutral ground, but he more or less follows his father. Guinevere doing similar, but she loves both of them. And she loves the people who follow her. And they do fight, the people who follow her do fight in the war. And she does not wish to see them brought any unnecessary harm. Or harm in general. This is quite literally gonna get bad. Bell leaves in like a huff as he pretty much slams the door behind him, telling King to come on, as King was waiting outside. He walks with them, King right by his side, king looks up at him. He's like, "Don't worry, buddy. Your father is an idiot. He should see reason, not to just go blindly charging in a fight." As then Gwyn gives the order for them to start conscripting people. A lot of people are signing up, like I said before, but not enough to the point that he would deem this as an acceptable endeavor. So he starts quite literally conscripting any man or woman who's like old enough. That's unless they have like family to take care of and such. But even then, some of them are taken. If they're like all around 16. Like if any of the children are above 16, he's like conscript them, throw them into the military. It's pretty much what he's doing. People are understanding of this, but some of them think of it as unnecessary. With Bel giving the exact opposite, is to say, let their troops return home for now to gain rest. With this, another rift is forming between them. Bel trying to counter every order, not every order, but countering certain orders that would bring him more at odds with his father. Till finally, years of this passed, and before they leave, there's a celebration on the day like the last dragon was destroyed. Bel was asked to attend, and this is like being held by not Gwyn, because Gwyn doesn't take part in such festivities, and when he does, they're more or less dinners and such. This is like an actual festival and dance. They're all dancing around like do 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 do. So Orange scenes back at the castle. Goth is as well. Solaire and Havel are hanging out with Bel as they're all dancing. Quaylana and such, like after some like nudging by Quaylac to like, hey, go ask Solaire. She's like, no, what are you talking? She's like, come on, just ask him. She's like, as she like pushes on him, he's not like, all right. As she's about to walk over, and Solaire looks up at her like, oh, Quaylana, it's as good to see you. So, how are you enjoying the dance? She's like, it was good, but I have yet to take part of a dance. As she does like that little thing they do. She's like, may I have this dance? As Solaire's looking around like, Bel pretty much just nudges him in the back. He's like, huh? He pretty much waves his hand off for him to go have fun. Solaire taking off his helmet and just dancing. As Quaylac sits over, she's like, they look nice. It's good to see Quaylana so happy. Indeed, it's good to see Solaire happy as well. Havel saying, so, when are we moving to the next place? Father wishes to conscript as many people as he can. Force them into fighting dragons and crossing the sea. It's not a good idea. Havel agrees with this, that it's a terrible idea. We've pushed the dragons out of the land. Isn't that all that matters? Bel agreeing, but his father sees otherwise. As Quaylana's like, we won't be very much use traveling over the sea. Even then, the land of the ancients may be completely different than ours. There's no telling what manner of stuff we would find there. So they all question this and such. It's again questioned again and again, like I said. They're all like talking and sort of forming their own inner circle. With a few nobles and like the tribes of Ferosa, like the Ferosa warriors, some of the land of giants and some of the Anorlando and all those kingdoms have more or less side with Bel. It's a smaller portion, but it's still a portion. With Quaylana and, Izalith and such being almost completely on Bel's side. With the land of giants split between them. And some of the other cities are pretty much split between them. So as they all start talking, Bel is finally given the order that finally, on that day, they have enough ships, which they have been building. They've built enough ships, have enough people ready and armed, and that they're sending them over the thing. Bell tries one last desperate attempt, and King has grown some more. He's about, let's see, I said he was like 16 feet. Well, now I'd say he's like 24 feet. Yeah. As I believe Bell should be big enough to ride on him. 24 feet in length, and in height, I'd say probably, 10 feet. And in length, maybe, I don't know the exact wingspan. I would just say it's pretty long. And I believe the nameless, the King of Storms, or King in this case, has multiple wings. So, I don't know. As Bell is able to have him ride on. And they have to construct some very big ships to transport the giants. And some of the other warriors are also giants. There's also Havel. And they have to accommodate for everyone. By total, it should take them several weeks to get across the sea. But in the meantime, the four kings have been left in charge and have been giving Gwen updates on the whole thing. And this is essentially, like how I said, they have somewhat of a, I forget what the word is, they can somewhat see visions and such, if I remember correctly. I forget the exact word I use. But what they can do is what they've been telling them, that the war shall be a success, and that the dragons will be defeated. Well, not be defeated, but the kingdom shall win. But they can't tell them how they win. For that is all they know, is that Anorlando and the kingdoms will still stand after the wars. And Gwen asks, wars? Yes. Well, we do not know, but it seems something is happening. Gwen guessing that making preparations, because he sees how he's been clashing heads with his son every single time they discuss matters upon the war. So he starts in preparation, trying to find those who are loyal to him, to Gwen, and claiming that his son may become, to have them all at the ready, to have troops at the ready, in case Bell decides to turn. In his mind, the precognition, is it precognition, or being a seer, whatever. They have those in place and are ready to act. With Bell and his troops be the first ones to arrive there. They have a relatively peaceful time trying to arrive there at the land. They arrive on the land, and I'd say in total, they have several dozen thousand of knights. 12,000 on the first wave to arrive. So as they're setting up everything, it's all quiet. There's the giant trees that they would see at Nest, but they don't hear dragons. They didn't fight any dragons on the way here. Bell grows curious and orders for his teams and such to have scouts. And a day later they report back having information saying that they see towns with weird lizard people, as Bell looks confused, deciding that this is worth his look. Saying that they weren't seen, but we don't know. They just look weird as Bell's forces start marching forward, as he takes around 500 warriors with him. That comprise Solaire, Havel's left to be prepared to defend that position. Ornstein's up there with him as well, being told that he's in command. Hawkeye Goth is held in reserve as well. He's pretty much bringing Sol Lair along and 500 of the elite Ferosa warriors. Quaylana and Quaylag are also told to hold back. As they are walking along, a ball comes flying in front of them. As this weird lizard dragon thing that looks like just a giant lizard walking on two legs, a ball rolls right in front of him of this weird little skinny dragon. As he has after picked it up and looked at it, it comes as it looks straight into his eyes. It's like looking at the ball. Bell then handing it back. Like, this is weird. As they start pretty much doing the sign to follow them. As the warriors come marching forward, the village and their elders see the children leading. As they see them, children are playing again. As they were about to say again, as they see this giant warrior with a golden weapon, with a number of troops behind him, wearing some gold chains, war pelts, long hair, and then they see the man beside him who is tall, wearing metal armor and having a sword and shield with the sun painted on it. As they descend upon the village, not in intents to attack it, but they are ready to defend themselves if the time comes for it. The warriors of the village come rushing out with iron and such, and claws and teeth, and a few of them even know magic or miracles. As they all approach them, the warriors then rushing forward, forming a shield wall with their giant wooden shields that have been blessed and imbued with some properties to make them more sturdy than even some metal shields. As the village elders come walking by with their sticks, they are old, their scales are gray and dry. The other warriors, though, they're big, tall, and very much strong in looking. As the village elder, who is very small, comes approaching, speaking in some weird tongue, Bell pretty much tilts his head backward, sideways, to let him know that he doesn't know what he's saying, as he speaks in another language that sounds more familiar. It sounds like a broken English in a way, or a broken language. And Bell thinks he's heard of it, thinking he hears a few words. We, I, you, and small words and such. So he goes trying to remember what this language is called, but he can't pick it out. As it speaks as Bell pretty much decides to just draw a picture. So he tells his warriors to stand back, takes up his spear and just starts drawing a picture, essentially. It's not a very good one, but he thinks it gets the message across, as it shows boats, the land, and then another thing of land, as they show them landing. As he points to the boats and puts a hand on his chest, signaling that's him. And that's as he puts a hand on his chest and points to the men behind him and points to the boats. It looks like the old man's starting to get it. And then the old man asks for a thing to draw with, as he already has a stick, so he carves it, sort of draws it in the ground, as they show them theirs. Them coming to understand each other. Bell then bowing and then having his warriors turn back and walk. As a dragon warrior who's kind of anxious comes rushing back forward after Bell, Solaire pretty much rushes forward and knocks him down. As he then falls back to defend Bell's back. So the other warriors start coming forward as if they were the ones to be attacked. But then the warrior stands back up, letting out a loud hiss, or a mix of a roar. The elder trying to get him to calm down, speaking in his language. The other warrior pretty much just completely ignoring him. As Solaire acknowledges this and goes like, taking his sword and ready to attack as he pretty much accepts a challenge. He can tell when there's a challenge issued, and Bell pretty much stands there and waits with his weapon. As they're standing off, Bell has the weapon in the middle and just taps it on the ground, signaling as Solaire rushes forward. This beast, or lizard folk, rushes forward as Solaire takes his shield and hits him in the guts. Then slices him in the leg, and then pretty much charges up a bit of electricity, shocking him, sending the lizard folk flying as it goes tumbling. Almost, that would say, I'm being on death's door. Solaire pretty much looking confused, as then he notices, oh, he's hurt bad. So he walks over and uses a miracle, healing him up. Solaire and then all of them walk away, thinking this is confusing. As then a few months go by, with interactions with the locals going pretty well, with not a lot of hostility but caution on both sides. As then, after the entire time, Gwen has been thinking, hopefully, maybe they've taken some losses, in the sense that maybe Bell won't be able to challenge him or anything. As they arrive, they've come to learn that they haven't taken any losses. Everything's been going peaceful, as then Bell explains that there are no dragons, just lizard folk. And the forces Gwen has brought along with them, giant bowmen, silver knights, Smo, Artorias, and the one chick, I forget her name. She probably won't be important to the story, but there's Artorias and such. As they all speak, as Gwen pretty much speaks one-on-one with Bell, he's saying they're part of the dragon kin. They must be, in a way, eradicated. Well, in his mind, saying that they must be lesser. Bell saying actually quite the opposite. They're just like the warriors of the Ferosa warriors. They're intelligent to their own, but we can't understand them. Their language is weird. Quaylana and Quaylag, who are students of history, I would say, since they're like the smart ones, point out, listen to some of them and say, it also sounds familiar, but they don't know where they've heard it. So as they go back, listening again and again, trying to figure out when did they hear this, Quaylana and Solaire pretty much just get to know each other even more. And have a few times when they just sit and talk. And just enjoy each other's company. Quaylag takes every chance to embarrass her sister. As Gwen makes his way to one of these villages, he pretty much marches in, and in the best way he can understand the language, because he hears the language as well, and has some grasp as well. As some clan leaders have come together to talk, in a way. Sort of the meeting of great clans come together. As I'd say 10 different clan leaders, or tribe leaders, have all come together to speak and try to understand these new creatures. With Gwen pretty much illustrating through a picture that he wants them to bow before him. The clan leaders not taking kind to this, as they seem to get agitated. Bell pretty much asking what is his father doing, as his father then looks back at him, pretty much saying, I intend to conquer this land, what I always intended to do. Then he states it again, pointing back at the picture. Bow down, is what it essentially says. Several of them not bowing down, but backing away. As each of these clans have brought a large amount of warriors. As Gwyn understands this, as he's about to raise the sword for them to tell them, charge forward or unleash their fighting, Bell pretty much stops his hand with his own. As he's taller than his father, as he looks down on him, Gwyn looking back at him, Gwyn's like, let go, Bell. He's like, no. They are free just like the Ferosa warriors. They do not have to bow before you, as he pretty much gives his father a slight shove. As his father then swings his sword as Bell raises his in retaliation, clashing and making a loud sound wave. As a warrior from the tribe's leaders and such look at this, pretty much Bell signals to them as he goes go. As he tilts his head. He then shouts out for his warriors as they were separated from Gwyn's to take up positions and to ready themselves. As Ornstein and such is caught between two loyalties. His own things being questioned. Quaylana and Quaylag are pretty much siding with Bell and his forces. Havel respects Bell a whole lot more than he respects Gwyn, so it's obvious. Goth, he's conflicted as Ornstein is. But Solaire takes no doubt and immediately orders the troops to fall back. Trying to, saying, Ornstein, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. As he's looking back and forth between his two loyalties, there's the Silver Knights that follow Gwyn, and the Silver Knights and other combination of warriors that follow Bell. As the tribesmen and such start getting their troops out of there, and a few of the brave ones, or ones that see who Bell is, somewhat send their own troops over there to form up with his own. As Bell looks over there as very large dragon-like creatures. And then as Bell pretty much shoves his father good and hard, sending him flying, then King lets out a roar, as then that sets off the battle. As the arrows start flying, the magic is casted and everything is going to war. As Bell and his father charge at each other, as they clash, an entire crack is just sounded out. As Solaire then charges forward with the Ferosa warriors, as then Artorius, Smo, and all of them come rushing forward, ready to crash into him. The giant warriors in the back. But some of the giant warriors had loyalties with Bell, so they start trying to convince their brethren and such, as they, when that whole thing was going on, started moving towards Bell's side, using their giant weapons. This is a civil war, and is about to get a whole lot worse. As before everything can get really kick-started, they just hear, forgive me, they just hear a large, deep roar that sounds so loud it shakes the ground. As Bell and them are all looking in the skies and trying to feel beneath the ground, they can tell this isn't just one, this is multiple. As they look to the skies, they see those giant stone dragons flying their way. As the lizard folk seem to get down in a way and start praying. As Bell pretty much uses his blade and bashes his father all the way across, readying themselves. As all their warriors start backing up, trying to ensure themselves safety, as Gwyn's warriors throw up protections to defend themselves. And before they leave, he's like, "Goodbye, father." As Bel's forces immediately depart from the battle, leaving Gwen to fight them. They all pretty much get the lizard folk up and tell them to start moving. So they all rush off to their own safety. That's where I'll be cutting it. I hope y'all have enjoyed this, and I hope y'all will continue to enjoy this, and I hope y'all have a nice day, nice night, nice life. And this is this is the Civil War arc. I think I'll stop this for a little bit, just a little bit, since I've gotten this far. It will give me some time to toss around a few ideas. I don't script. All I do is toss around ideas and throw ones in place that would work. Never writing them down, but they come to me. But again, have a nice day, nice night, nice life.